the idea to sort of track and monitor the people that you're reaching out to, the technology is great, right? I use it all the time in the same way that my sellers do and your sellers do, where you're able to go back and really kind of do a history check on all of these and find out, just like you said, who's engaged with it, who's opened, who's maybe
Yeah.
even responded, and sort of narrow the field. So yeah, that's
Although
totally true.
I would ask you that I have two questions for you now
Cool.
on that. So one, I don't find like, do you find the opened metric now to be of any value?
I only find it to be a value in that it allows me to, at least unless it's wrong, know that they've engaged in some way. So, I mean, I'm first of all going with the same approach that you do, right? In the hopes that if I am reaching out to them, I am relevant, or there's something about them that makes it a good prospect. It's not just a total
Mm,
blind prospect. So the fact that it's a good prospect and someone that we know is a good fit for us, or they've run somewhere else, or they're in market, then if they respond, I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but the sense is that at least I know there's been some engagement. So then I can try to tailor that message even more and see if I can get a response. Right?
well, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why I ask though,
Yeah.
because like think about the way that you might read email like on your phone.
Yeah.
Like you just like click something and then I'll just like delete, delete, delete. But like if it opens,
Yeah.
it's open even though like I'm not paying any attention to it.
Yeah.
And I guess that's why I keep getting like emails from the same person over and over again because they see me like opening it, so they think
Uh,
like, oh, like one of these days. Anyway,
yeah. Yeah. No, that's right. I also am someone that thinks that this is my persuasive writing hat from teaching this a few years ago. I
yeah,
mean, it's probably a bit extreme, but I generally feel like if I can't get their attention with the first line that I write, then it's over. You know what I mean? So
probably, yeah, they're not
that
gonna.
right. So that should be fine for a phone and desktop. But if I don't have something meaningful enough to stay within the first, I don't know, 8 to 10 words, like I've got no shot. Right. So I'm
Even the
very
subject
careful
line.
about that. Yeah, the subject line, I think. I had some stat back when I taught that talked about how there's this tremendous correlation between effectiveness of subject line and open. Right. So if you don't have a good subject line, people aren't opening. And
Yeah.
there's some crazy stat that says that basically people will spend less than 3.4 seconds on an email, which sounds about right. That might even be too much, right?
Mm.
Yeah, I know. I see you shaking your head. It might be too much, but I think that's true too. So I think we have very little time and attention to try to get them. This is with prospects right now, people you have a relationship with. So, um,
So my
but yeah,
second
I
question.
mean, well, yeah. So just let me sort of sum that up.
Yeah.
I think to answer your question, I do use it that way. I can't say entirely that, like you said, either they've really read it and thought, oh, I'd like to work with them, or like you said, they were on their phone, they clicked it. I don't know.
Right. We don't know. Second
Yeah.
question. This is one that I've always sort of struggled with. Right. Let's say you want to work with a brand or any customer. Forget it. We could take it out of advertising to make it general, but in our case, it's a brand, right? And you look and you go on LinkedIn or wherever you're going to go to just sort of see like who the right person is. And you see like 4 different people with potential, like with titles that could potentially be relevant.
Yeah.
Do you start with the one that's most relevant, try to get to them, it doesn't work, and then you go to the next, or do you reach out to all of them at once?
Great question. Usually the one that I think is most relevant, and then I try the next one. I
Right.
will, sadly, I will tell you if there's a brand that I really, really have been trying to get forever, like we all have, like, God damn, there's this one brand, like, why won't they run with us? I probably reach out to maybe as many as I can, hoping just simply from a numbers game that maybe one of them responds. And by the way, it hasn't worked yet. I can tell you the 5 brands that, I just wish they would run with us and they haven't in 2 years and I've tried. And funny enough, one of them, I'll tell you, one of them is Yeti, right? I just don't understand why Yeti doesn't run with us. Of course, we all have brands like that, right? And there's probably a very good reason as to why they don't. But I do know that the one guy that I send messages to, I see that he opens like 5, 6 times every time. So it drives me crazy, right? So either, like you said, he's just ripping through it and not even reading it, or he's just teasing me thinking like, oh, I'm getting so close. But clearly I haven't, because it's been like 2 years where I think this guy's opened, if I'm right, I think he's opened an email from me maybe 50 times. And I've
Mm.
tried all kinds of different things, right? I've tried mocking up ads. I've tried to be really funny. I've tried to sort of like, I've tried all kinds of angles. But, and that's an example too, Jeff. Oh, wait, did you ask your second question? I don't want to get off
That
on a
was my
tangent.
second question was like the
Oh, yeah, yeah, the one versus
Yeah.
all of them. So here's my question back to you. How far would you go? One of the things I've considered, I tried a little bit. I haven't seen a lot, but like if there's a contact or someone that I really, really think is really relevant and, just a head scratcher that I can't get them to run. And like we all know, there's could be 1,000 reasons. I have tried on a few occasions because you can get their phone number and tried to text them. Very rarely. It hasn't worked yet, but like how far would you go?
I
It's also funny too. Let me explain. One of the most effective things we do as a company, and maybe you do this too, and it's what gets me the most response is every year I pick the 25 best prospects or clients, and I send them a gift. Like we send them something every year. Send them something really good. Costs a lot of money, costs a lot of effort, but obviously I get responses immediately from every one of them, and it works great. So should I spend more time sending shit to people's offices or sending to their homes? That's not really effective, but
Yeah, I mean, I would not text them, not because
okay.
it's just everyone's got their thing. Like that to me would make me uncomfortable if I got
Yeah, you
that.
might be right. I think it would
So
make me
like,
uncomfortable. So,
right.
but I
So
don't
then
know.
like
I don't know.
then I'm not going to do that to somebody else. But um, I mean, there's all sorts of tactics, right? Here's one. Like you probably remember we used to do this when we worked together. The sales manager at the time. Um,
Yeah.
it was a good idea, and I had used it subsequent to this. Had this idea. We were selling video, and it was like, okay, we're going to send out like a sizzle reel of like our
Yeah.
best, and you have to answer like 2 or 3 questions within that. But if you do, you're entered into a contest to win. I think at the time we were giving out like iPads when iPads were new, and and the response rate would be fantastic, right?
Yeah.
You would
Yeah.
get like 100 different responses, and these are from people that typically